It's My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live. It's England versus Afghanistan. There's a bit of history of war over there, but that is Joy Bhattacharjya territory. So we'll come there. We'll come there much later. Joy is with us. So is Zaheer Khan, who knows all about cricket in England. It's England versus Afghanistan. There's one team that's really has no worries about whether or not they'll make the semi-final. There's another team that's suddenly come in here and thinking, oops, are we in the wrong room? They came with a lot of promise and they just seem to be hurtling down. Today is their opportunity to come and show that they belong over here. So there's different objectives for the two different teams over here. First England, second Afghanistan. But the news is that Eoin Morgan is indeed playing. There was some fear that his back may not be good enough, that he had back spasms. Our resident orthopedic surgeon, Mr. Zaheer Khan, who knows every joint in the human body, he said, no, it depends. There are back spasms and there are back spasms. This must have been a small one, not a category VVS spasm, but a normal one.
Engineering student, I've learned a lot about physiology. That was never my favorite subject. But
it's not a category VVS back spasm.
No. Clearly it's not, because he's playing the game. Even though VVS played with the spasm and he was very bad and still managed to score those runs. So I'm sure when you're captain of the team, you have that added responsibility as well, and you don't want to back off for anything which is smaller or risk free. And with injuries, usually how it goes with athletes is like there are categories where you can push yourself and maintain. So even if it's painful, even if it's hurtful, you can still go on and do the job for your team, not without really compromising too much in terms of your performance. That is one category. And second is, if you continue playing, it's going to catch up and going to end up in something worse. So I think those are the situations usually you have to be watchful of or be wary of and make that right call. So usually when you are in that room with the physio or a doctor, they give you all the scenarios.
Is your handwriting good? Then we'll know whether you're a proper doctor or no. Joy, what do Afghanistan do? I mean, when they came in here, some people thought, maybe a couple of matches here and there, they might win. But they came with a new captain. Things don't seem to be working.
No, absolutely. I think, the start wasn't great. The whole replacement of Ghani, he was a widely liked captain. And also, interestingly, your two top players, international players, Rashid Khan and Nabi, go on record saying on Twitter that they're not happy with the change of captain. That happens.
You know a thing or two. The reason I asked you that actually is you know a thing or two about people not being happy with leadership in a team. How many captains did you have in KKR?
I've done a little bit about that.
In KKR, they had 3 captains, one to toss, one to set the field, one to decide who's bowling.
Yeah, but that was a great formula. It worked for but that's the thing, Afghanistan has this thing, and now then you have Mohammad Shahzad who's gone back. The case of, because he's from Afghanistan and Dr. Watson was from Afghanistan, Sherlock Holmes. It's a case of the mysterious injury. Yes, Dr. Watson was a veteran of the Afghan war. He was injured by a Jazai bullet in the Afghan war. That is why he came back and met Sherlock Holmes. That's how it all started. So the whole point about it is that
why do you know all these things?
If you read Sherlock Holmes, that's the only thing you remember, the Afghan war.
221B Baker Street and Moriarty and how they fell over the cliff and he came back.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying, that if you now where was I?
About Shahzad. You were talking about Shahzad.
No, Shahzad, the case of the mysterious injury.
Yeah.
Because the board believes he has this terrible injury. He says he's completely fit. Who are we to believe? I mean, can't the ICC send? And that's the other thing. If suppose the ICC does send a player out for you, okay? Now, this is a question I seriously want to ask. Can the Afghan cricket board turn around and say this guy is not fit and send him back? Because if you try to do that in the IPL would have a person examined by an external physio would come, examine you and say, is the player injured enough for you to take a replacement for the season? My question is, has the ICC done that? Because if Mohammad Shahzad is truly injured and he's saying he's fine, one of these two parties is not telling the truth. And if it turns out to be the Afghan cricket board, then it's actually a felony. Because you cannot replace a fit player in the it's against the rules, because then every team would take advantage of it. One player's got 3 ducks in a row, okay, he's injured. Next match, let's bring in a replacement.
I think the rules are that the CEO and the cricket board have to say that a person is injured. He has to be assessed by a doctor.
Independent doctor.
There should be a doctor certificate, and it should therefore seriously be beyond beyond proof that he is unwell.
I'm hoping it is so, in which case
That's what I
Mohammad
was
Shehzad
told.
seems to be telling a story which...
That's what I was told.
No, there are.
No, because I'm on the event technical committee.
You know all about it then.
There are protocols for sure. You know, you
Yeah,
have to
there are,
follow
yeah.
that protocols. You have to get that clearance of fitness, and clearly
It has to be an
maybe
independent
it
exam.
has maybe the so-called fitness tests were not. Shehzad was exempted from those earlier. I mean, when you look at him, if he has to run a yo-yo test, you seriously wonder that whether he'll be able
My
to
gut feel
do that
is-
or no.
Yeah, my gut feel is.
Shehzad's gut feel as well.
See, you're in good form today. My gut feel is what India did with Shikhar Dhawan, saying we know he's unfit, but we'll stay with him and give him time to recover. What England are doing with Jason Roy, we know he's got a hamstring tear. We don't know what grade. Dr. Zaheer Khan will tell us about different hamstring tears at different times. But they're staying with him because they're saying in the chance that he recovers, we want him back. Because once you replace a player, you can't get him back unless someone else has got injured, bona fide injury, and you call the original player back. So maybe Shehzad thought they could have stayed with him a little longer. So maybe that's what he was miffed about. But the fact is that Shehzad is not playing, he's not available. That affects the balance completely. They've got a keeper who's batting at 8 or 9, so everyone's got to move one step up as if it wasn't enough already. Now let's look at the sides, and just to remind you that it's a used pitch. Owen Morgan has won the toss, he's decided to bat. There is no Jason Roy in that side, but they had James Wince as the backup batsman. In fact, he's the only backup batsman in the 14. They couldn't have gone anywhere else. They're still staying with Adil Rashid, who's only picked up 2 wickets before the World Cup started. I think Owen Morgan said he's coming in with a shoulder injury, and I think he might have been given a shot, I think, just before the World Cup started to get that injury.
Adil Rashid, you're talking
Yeah,
about,
I
right?
think so.
Yeah.
So they're staying with him, hoping he'll get back into form. Moeen Ali hasn't been in great form either, but he comes in because it's a used surface, so they want a little bit more spin. It means the batting is very deep, but today it's all about getting the bowling right and hoping that James Wince scores runs. What do you make of that side?
England has a very, very balanced squad. So even though they have few niggles and injuries, it's not really going to affect their balance of the team because you have options for everything and for different conditions as well. So today's conditions, certainly when you were hearing at the toss, both the captains talking about batting first is something, a clear indication. When you're playing on a used pitch, you saw Kuldeep getting some turn there, you saw Chahal getting some turn, so that's why you've seen
Even,
changes in Afghanistan team as well accordingly.
Even Imad Wasim got turn, which he doesn't get very often.
Yeah, so
Same surface.
but generally to get the turn consistently, you have to bowl slow on that particular day against that India-Pakistan game. So today, I think it will be better in terms of the pace. So even if you bowl a little quicker, that should work in your favor. Like the style which Moeen Ali has, like he has good control in his areas, but he bowls a bit quicker through the air. So that's something which will also have help. So all in all, I think for Afghanistan, it will be a good day out there. It won't be, even though English has a very strong batting lineup, it's not going to be one of those days where you'll see 350, 360, those kind of scores. I feel Afghanistan spinners will come into play. The changes which they've made is in accordance with the conditions which are on offer, and I think they might give slight trouble to this strong English batting lineup as
The
well.
best chance Afghanistan was bat first, put some runs, and then try and get the spinners in. Let's look at Afghanistan's side then. I've been a big fan, I must admit, of Afghanistan's cricket, but look what they've done. Hazratullah Zazai at the top. He was actually my player to watch out for in Afghanistan. He's not in the side anymore. So Najibullah Zadran was not in the side. He straight away come back. They've slotted him at 3. Noor Ali Zadran, who's been playing ever since Afghanistan started playing as an opener. They've pushed Rahmat Shah to open the batting. Hashmatullah Shahidi is a good, solid player. He takes his time. Asghar Afghan, Gulbadin Naib, Mohammad Nabi. And then they've got Mujibur Rahman. Daulat Zadran comes back in for Hamid Hassan. So Zadran and Gulbadin Naib are the 2 quicks. Mujib comes back. He's only bowled 8 overs, I think, in this tournament. So Mujib, Nabi, and Rashid. And if required, I think Rahmat Shah might bowl a little bit. What do you make of that side?
It's a decent side. They've obviously packed it. I mean, I'm glad Mujib is playing because, if you have to pick a place to, bowl 3 spinners, it'll be Old Trafford. and that's clearly your advantage. Your fast bowlers are not going to scare anybody. I mean, you don't have the kind of attack that will scare anybody. It's a fairly large ground, so you're going to take your chances. They've got 3 spinners. My only problem is, you would have probably better to have a more experienced wicketkeeper. Ikrit is just, he's an 18-year-old kid. He's not played that much first class all his cricket. Because it's not going to be easy for him to keep for the likes of Rashid Khan, because he's not easy to keep with at the best of times. But this is the best they can do under the circumstances. Given that Shehzad has gone back, I think they've just moved their stuff around and said, I mean, I think what they have to do now is, if you've lost all your matches, is show intent. So they're showing intent. They're saying, okay, we have shaken up the cupboard. We've tried to put together the best side possible. Let's see where it goes.
Let's see what the spinners have been doing. You think of Afghanistan and you think of spin, don't you? So Mohammad Nabi has got 4. Is Rashid Khan discovering that at the highest level, after a while, people figure out how to play you? I mean, he's got a very decent economy rate. I think economy rate is still under 5 or around that. But yeah, 4.9. Nabi's economy rate is pretty good as well. But just 3 wickets. They want wickets from him, don't you?
You have to look at style of bowling as well. Like, when you look at Nabi has his strength is the drift which he gets when he's bowling, and that's how he's got his wickets. So the conditions in terms of spin friendly conditions, it doesn't really matter. If spin friendly conditions are there, it's added advantage for Nabi. But even if it's a good track, he will still rely on that outswing kind of a delivery. The drift for spinners is something which is very important to get the wickets in slips, and that's what he did in Sri Lanka. When you look at Rashid has this very quick arm action, bowls at a decent pace, and not a big turner of the ball. So usually leg spinner's strength is to have that big turn, drift. That's not Rashid's strength. Rashid's strength is just to bowl quicker and rely on that googly. So when you're that style of when you have that style of bowling, your wicket taking ability also is a direct product of how the conditions are. So that's why you'll see in subcontinent conditions he will be more effective, because he gets that added advantage. But when he plays in Australia or England, for that matter, England is still okay, because at times the conditions are like wickets are soft because of the moisture in the wicket, and he gets that extra purchase. But so far he has not played on those kind of tracks. Maybe today is one of those tracks where he'll enjoy bowling and have that impact on the game in terms of filling that wicket column.
Also, he is, even though he's shorter and chubbier, he's more the Kumble kind of leg spinner, because he doesn't bowl from here, he actually bowls from here. That's where the googly comes in much more. And he's played a form of cricket. He's been very successful in a form of cricket where people are attacking the batsman. So it'll be a test for Rashid today. Also now, he's got to play with the expectation, right? People expect him to do well, and that's not easy.
That's not easy. But I think in the IPL, he's still coped very well with the expectations over the last 2-3 years. I think there are 2 problems out here. One is the data we are looking at is, whenever he's had to bowl, almost all the time, he's been bowling when Afghanistan has put up a very poor total on the board. So, that's why his economy rate is better than what it might have been, because people haven't bothered to attack him because they don't need to.
Correct.
You're chasing 140, 150, I'll just play him here. That's one. 2 is that the reverse problem is also happening. He's not getting wickets because people can afford to play him out. Yeah. See, nobody really is feeling the urge to do anything. And because they're putting low totals on the board, they're neither attacking him, they say content, they'll play him around for singles. So his bowling effort is looking mediocre either way. And he's discovering, as he said, that in grounds with no purchase, he's not getting...
If Afghanistan had made 280,
then
they would have needed to take a chance.
Then he would have tried to attack Rashid
against him as well.
And that's also why his analysis is good. His economy rate is decent. So if you see those totals, where are you going to stop somebody?
There's nothing there, is there? I mean, Australia 207 was the best they managed. But after that, 152, though that was batting second, 172 and 125. So there's nothing there for the bowlers to bowl at. Right, so there you are. Afghanistan are playing 3 spinners today, and they're hoping that there will be something in the track. Have you made your team? Because you can go download the app as well, my11circle.com. Download the app and pick your team and get on. Select a match, create your own team. It's very easy actually. Now, most times the person who sits here, called Gautam Himani, is a complete fiend. He loves playing it, so he's on all the time. Joy Bhattacharya created the first fantasy league game in India, but you can do it. You can beat Joy, maybe you can beat Gautam, but if you beat Saurav Ganguly, then you get 5 times what you get 5 times your money back. So there's a lot to happen there. You still doing it?
I have given up. Gotham is now the expert. Of course, today I'm a bit worried. He has a shoulder injury, so his fantasy team may not be that good, But I'm worried about Gotham's form right now. Yesterday, apparently, he had a crushing defeat, which is disturbed me deeply.
Now, James Vince comes into the side. He's played, 9 or 10 games. He doesn't have a great record behind him. Now, 8 innings, 225, average 28. He's coming in. He's been the backup player for a Bairstow and a Roy, whose strike rate is huge, their average is huge. So as a backup player, he's got to live with the fact maybe Jason Roy won't come back. Maybe I'll stay in. But this is a great opportunity. If you're getting a break, you might as well get a break against Afghanistan.
So Jofra Archer and Vince are the only 2 players, I think, in that England side who has less international experience. And great opportunity. I think, when you are playing in such a strong team, you get to learn a lot. Also, the fact that you've been mentioning that, you can go under the radar.
Under the radar. There we go. One more has gone under the radar.
Yeah, it just works for you because, the focus is not going to be on Vince. So it's just a perfect scenario to go out there and express yourself and get that confidence which you can use going forward, because when you're playing at the highest level, it's just about getting that confidence, isn't it? That one innings, when you play against a decent opposition, good bowling attack, and here the challenge is going to be spin. And how do you judge most of the English batsmen, how they're playing spin? Because seam bowling, swing bowling, they're pretty much, grow up on those kind of surfaces. They're pretty used to dealing with those kind of attacks. But when you have spin attack and such a formidable one, which Afghanistan has, if there's help in the wicket and if he manages to score runs on this kind of track, then England selectors will be going that, okay, hang on, we've found someone, who we can use not only in England but also when we tour, because that's subcontinent conditions. You need good players of spin also to be in the batting line.
Vince, I'd be thinking maybe it's meant to be. There's Roy and Hales batting really well. Hales goes out, Bairstow comes in. There's 3 people to choose from. Where's Vince? Vince is playing somewhere in front of 3 people on a county ground. Then next thing you know, Hales is gone because he's done something silly. Next thing you know, Roy is gone because of injury, and there I am centre stage. Maybe it's meant to be.
Absolutely. But the other thing is that he is a very decent cricketer. I mean, anyone who plays in the Big Bash, I believe, is pretty decent standard because, you choose only 2 international players. So he plays Big Bash cricket, which means people recognize him. And if you look around the world, there may be 3-4 sides where he'd find it difficult to open, England being one of them because there's such strong sides, maybe England, Australia, this thing. But otherwise, he's a class batsman. And that's the interesting part about it. And you know what I like about this England side? This England side reminds me of Australia in their heydays, 2004 to 7. Where Vince could score a century out here. He could get a century in the next 2 matches and come the third match.
And yet get dropped.
Yes. Remember Brad Hodge, he scored a double century and then got dropped immediately. Next over, out.
Right.
And I think their side is strong enough to do that, saying, okay, here's your job. You're the backup opener. Go do your job. Great job. Okay, son. Jason Roy is back. Go back to the...
What happened to KL Rahul? I mean, KL Rahul would score a century in the next game. Shikhar is fit, and we'll tell KL, you know what, I think you're made for number 4. go back to number 4. But that's an attribute of great teams. Their option was to actually ask Moeen Ali to open.
Correct.
But because Moeen Ali at number 7 hasn't scored runs, he's got a couple of ODI hundreds as well. But I guess if you picked a guy to be in the side as an opening batsman, you can't suddenly tell him, you know what, we're actually pushing Moeen Ali.
But there is another reason for that.
Yeah.
Because, when someone has got a hamstring muscle injury, you're not sure. So I'm getting a feeling that, they're not 100% sure that Roy is going to come back.
Okay, the news on that is it's a hamstring tear, but they're not telling anybody what grade tear it is.
Exactly. So that's something, which they have to take that call. That's why they're making sure that someone a like-to-like replacement is there. And if Vince comes good, then even if Jason Roy is not available for a while, they will approach it in that fashion. And the important game, if Roy manages to get fit, he'll come back in the side. Or I won't be surprised if they get a replacement in like 8 to 10 days.
Now, you might understand the feeling, but Roy has had a hamstring tear in the past, out for 7 weeks. That's happened once before. Came back, had another hamstring, was out again. So this time they will all want to be very certain that he's coming back, because he comes back a game later, he has another injury, then suddenly Vince is coming in cold. So I can see why they want Vince to bat and play.
Has it all happened in a year? So that is something which will be interesting, because they say that if hamstring tears and spasms, if you had one tear, you have to be careful for a year. So that window is very, very critical to for any athlete. If you had a hamstring tear, you have to be watchful for the next year. So if he's in that zone at the moment, then I won't be surprised if they get a replacement.
So when the physio came to you, did you teach the physio, or the physio teach you?
These are the learnings which I got from the physio and the doctors. So I mean, everyone. I've had a series of hamstring tears in 2003. 4.
I mean, we're laughing at it now. It must have been painful. Yeah, now we're laughing about it.
But yeah, it was grade 3.
Yeah.
8 centimeter tear I had. It was long enough for me to be out for like 6-7 weeks. So
a 6-inch ruler used to be 15 centimeters. Right? It's half a 6-inch ruler. Really?
Long tear. Yeah.
So it's a big tear. Now England batting first. There was a lot of talk at the start of this World Cup. Will 500 happen? Will 450 happen? And I think Virat said at the start, yeah, that's all very well, but this is a World Cup. We're going to play a little more conservatively. What do you think England will?
I think England would go for. I mean, they'll score naturally. I think they'll just allow the game to come to them. But I don't think there's anyone out there saying you need to score 400, you need to score 500. They just said go there, bat.
Yeah, because 500s happen, don't they? You don't score them. You just start playing. And I mean, 500s, I'm saying easy. 400s, yeah.
Even 400. I mean, if you look at it that way, if yesterday Bangladesh had kept going, they got this in 41 overs. They had, 9 overs, they would have got 80 odd runs. With the way they were batting, they would have got 400. But that's what I'm saying. It happens. You just get that momentum and suddenly you try targeting 320, 330 and suddenly 400 happens or 360 happens. But I rarely seen that you target 400 and 400 happens. I mean, there was only one such game in the history of this thing, 434, 438. And I don't think that's ever going to happen.
That was an outlier. That was 2006.
That is never going to happen again.
It was not meant to be, because soon, I mean, I saw that so many times. After 2006, India went to South Africa, and it was a bit like India winning the 83 World Cup. For a month, there was nothing else on Doordarshan. Similarly, on this, every time you went, whichever channel you switched, there was a sign there. This is the game. Do you want to watch? Because that's all you did. You just watched the game. And Mackay and Tini coming in right at the end. But we've also got just a little bit of time left now, so it's time for our joy factor question. I must warn all of you, though, that Joy has been in a fiendish mood lately, because Joy has been trawling the dark side of the stats to pull up questions with names like Jamal Hussain. Jamal Hussain? Why would you know Jamal Hussain? What have you got today?
That if they try and Google him, they'll never get to the connection.
But I did.
And did it come up?
I googled Jamal Hussain.
But did it come up?
No, I just thought that he was Gloucestershire, then he changed his county and he went somewhere else, and after a while he didn't have a contract. So it is. What have you got today? Let's see what the joy factor
is. It's a nice one, and
is.
It's because this is a really special day for any Indian cricket lover. It's 36 years to the day that Kapil scored that brilliant 175. Who's the only cricketer in this tournament who's the son of one of the players in that match? And
okay, so that match was against?
The match was India versus Zimbabwe. Oh, okay. No clues. Okay, but I'll tell you something. Some years later, I was in England and I actually went to Tunbridge Wells just to say, this is the ground on which Kapil Dev made 175. And it's a small little neighborhood ground over there. So we said, where is the players' change room? Because that day, everybody stood outside the change room. It was cold, but because Kapil Dev was batting like that, the manager said nobody will go to the toilet.
Yeah, apparently.
So everybody was sort of holding on like that. And as soon as the innings got over, they all
ran. Nobody was there to congratulate. And especially Srikanth and I think Kirti Azad. Yeah. The two of them were like in the worst shape. They were nearly dying out there. Charge.
Okay, we've also got predictions to make, right? We've got predictions to make. So who's going to sit on the My 11 Circle expert couch? Come on.
Okay, so England batting first. I think it's going to be 305.
305.
I'm going to go.
Bhattacharjya Babu.
I'm going to go under him.
Babu Mashai.
295. I'm always going under. 290. 290.
I think I've won it. I'm going 330.
330.
Okay. Let's see. For all that, suddenly Rashid might be fizzing the ball around. Let's see what happens. It's England versus Afghanistan. England won the toss. They're batting. We'll be back with you after 15 overs with the Cricbuzz Combox. Thanks for joining in.